Alright, we are back with another game. We're going second this time, and there's a piebald grebe in the tray, so my opponent's probably going to snap that up. It's a good wetland card drawing start. Well, we got some cards ourselves here, but it's kind of clunky. Benelli's is one of those birds that you don't really want to see it in your opening hand. You want to draw into it before the end of the game, because it's not going to help your early game acceleration, and it's consuming of food to keep it from your hand. Fish Crow is kind of an obvious pick. What's our bonus card situation? Falconer and Eulogist. Falconer does work with Benelli, but I think if we leverage a grassland engine, gonna want Eulogist. I was thinking about snapping up that Chaffinch, because it kind of pairs well with the grebe. You can just draw a bunch of cards and then tuck those cards under the Chaffinch in the mid to late game. But I don't know that I'm going to have the ability to really capitalize on it, because Benelli is already committing to 3 cards. Falconer, I don't think I want to get the Screech Owl, but I want to get the Fish Crow down. Osprey is probably going to be my wetland body here, and I'm just going to have to hand out some fish, I think, to help me get this party started. Black-crowned Night Heron, it's a good bomb, but again, just like Benelli, it's just hard to keep it from your starting hand. So I think I'm going to play Fish Crow, lay eggs. I can't, I got to spend an egg on another bird with this power, so I'm actually going to go Osprey. I can draw a card, gain the fish back, and play Fish Crow. And we can kind of go from there. These are good cards, but it's a clunky start, especially when my opponent is going to snap up this grebe. I'd really love to have it here. Filled columns, we're just going to kind of have to see how things pan out for us. It would be really nice to have a card like the grebe to just draw a bunch of cards, see options, and then we always have the backup of playing Benelli's Eagle with garbage cards. So I think we're going to roll with this. And hopefully my opponent doesn't have anything incredibly devastating. They kept a non-standard spread of fish, rat, and worm. So the fish is probably going to go to the grebe. Oh my gosh, and they did flip up the yellowthroat. I was thinking that to myself when I was talking about the grebe. Like, wouldn't it be amazing if another bird of that archetype would flip up? And that's exactly what happened. So I'm going to draw that yellowthroat. I needed that big time. So I wonder now if my opponent doesn't grab the Chaffinch. Filled columns. Common Swift is a good body for the round roll. They left the Chaffinch, so they gained their food. They needed double worm. I don't know what they're going to play here. So now this Osprey is kind of looking not so great. I need a worm. So they took the only worm that was in the bird feeder. So they might have done that as a deny to slow down my yellowthroat. And I think this is where our crow is really going to save us. So I think I'm going to go with the original plan. So the Osprey is helping us out here. But get down the Osprey, gain a card, get the fish back, play the Fish Crow, lay eggs, get the worm, play the yellowthroat, and then just start drawing a bunch of cards. And we got Benelli in our back pocket. And if we can pull this off by the end of the round, we can throw Benelli in the forest to fill our column. So that's a pretty strong line for round 1. So it's really going to boil down to what my opponent can get started here. They're going to at least throw down the grebe and start drawing a bunch of cards, and I suspect that they will probably grab this Chaffinch as a mid to late game point conversion. So there's a Forcer's turn. So they have Grebe in hand and a Forcer's turn. So that's going to be they're going for a strong card draw engine here in round 1. They don't net any cards with the turn. They just get to see another card. It cycles a card. I don't see any cherries or wheat here. They could have Chiff Chaff. And that might explain why they might be ignoring this Chaffinch. So I think I'm going to deny this Chaffinch to avoid any shenanigans later. And hopefully we don't see... So there's a Clark's Grebe. I don't mind that too much, especially since my opponent has Forcer's Turn and Piebald Grebe in hand. It's probably not going to be a bird that they want unless they have like Fishery Manager or Wetland Scientist. Yeah, they left it. So we hand them a fish. They've laid eggs. They're probably going to play the Grebe here. So let's get our Fish Crow down. We can lay eggs and get our worm for the yellowthroat, and we'll have the egg for the yellowthroat. We can throw that down and just start digging. And then we can kind of be very tactical with our osprey. Villages, Clark's Grebe works out fairly well. We could get a fish off the osprey. But, so there's the Grebe from my opponent. Do I want to play the Grebe as another wetland body? Might want to do it. It's cheap. It's efficient at 5 points. It's another body for Oologist. Let's get our worm for the yellowthroat. And we'll play that, and we're going to be looking at a lot of cards here. Really good position. I might have the leeway to grab this Grebe here. I don't think the Swift... So he took the Swift and the Grebe. So he's working on... The Swift is going to go down here in his grasslands to help him fill the column. I don't feel too bad about that. He can go ahead and play the Grebe. He might have Fishery Manager. So he reveals Mallard and Ring-billed Gull. So I don't have my Yellowthroat down yet. He's already got so many card-drawing birds on the board and in hand. Ring-billed Gull could be really good for him if he's pushing a Chaffinch. But there really is... He does have a worm for a possible Chiff Chaff or Chaffinch. I always get these two birds mixed up. Chiff Chaff is the wetland one. So I think I would be taking an inefficient action to deny one of these birds, and I'm really not seeing an incredible reason to deny that Gull. So hindsight being 2020, we'll know here shortly if this is the wrong play, but this sets me up in a really good position to draw a lot of cards and convert points on Benelli's and Chaffinch. And if I get some... I'll net 3 cards here. And if I get a bunch of garbage, I can just drop Benelli's and get on the board for the round goal. So he left these birds, so there we see the Swift. So he's going to want to try to play toward this round goal himself. So one activation left. He's got to play a forest bird on his next activation, and he could do that with this rat. Could be something like a Cooper's Hawk or something like that. So let's draw our cards here. If he does play Carolina Wren, he could scoop up these 2 cards. That's garbage. Oh my gosh, top deck skills. We needed that. I've been getting hammered by White Stork so much lately that I'm happy to actually get it myself for a change. Alright, so let's not get overconfident though. And I am going to take the fish here because I have the White Stork in hand. That threw me off a little bit. So the fish does go in there. Let's throw down the woodpecker. And the chaffinch is probably going to... Oh, I could play the chaffinch into the forest. And then I can just hold on to this Benelli's for a while yet. But I don't have the food for chaffinch. It has to be Benelli's. So there we see cheap forest predator as predicted. So let's answer with our big forest predator. Kinda. So thinking to myself here, White Stork is a good card. Chaffinch is potentially good later. But the White Stork is going to let us see a lot of cards. I think we can afford to let the Wood Stork go here. Especially since our food gaining isn't incredibly powerful right now. So let's do that. We're going to tie the wrong goal. And we're going to get to look at a fresh tray here. I see Golden Eagle peeking around the corner. So there is Chiffchaff and a coot. I have to deny this. So let's take that. Let's take the coot as well. Do I want my opponent to have American coot? Would improve their card draw. Common Grackle is good for the grasslands. And Black-Headed Gull, holy cow. We got the makings of a Chiffchaff engine here. Could this be a Wetlands White Stork? I think I'm going to hand out this fish. Because I have so many wild food options to take advantage of it. So what am I going to get rid of? I have to think about this here. I've got a Chiffchaff on deck. I could play Black-Headed Gull. Chiffchaff. Grackle in the wetlands. That's my last 3 wetlands birds. Coot would be really nice for point scoring. So this wetland engine would be a 1-2 plus 5 is 7-point engine. I think I am going to let this coot go here. Food and personal supply is the wrong goal, but nothing great comes up from my opponent. So I need eggs and a worm. So I think I'm going to lay eggs. There are no worms in the bird feeder. So my opponent is really going to want to start picking at this bird feeder here. They're blocked in if they need worms. And that's especially problematic with the Swift. So there they draw more cards off the top of the deck. They're digging for answers. I need a worm here. I'm going to keep my fish. Let's grab the worm. Then I could play Black-Headed Gull and start drawing some more cards. Pick food from my opponent. They've got a bunch of fish that I've handed them. So they're on deck for Atlantic Puffin when it shows up. So they gained food here. They found something they wanted to play. I think I'm going to throw down the gull here. Let me think about this. I could play White Stork. Lay eggs, gain some more food. Benefit from the White Stork. and kind of slow play this Chiff Chaff. Kind of feels like the right... I mean, it's a good 8-point bomb as well, and I have Woologist. So I gotta keep my eyes on that. The cards I gain can be converted on a late game Chiff Chaff. I could lay eggs for 2 turns, get the food I need for the black-headed gull. Maybe I just throw the grackle down here. White Stork feels like the better bird. We'll do that. And honestly, I could just... the cards I gained from the Stork could just go to the grackle. And when I fill up on eggs, I can start throwing down... I mean, I could really focus on building out a tucking grasslands here. I'm kind of spoiled for choice, which is a great position to be in, because usually I'm not. So my opponent has drawn more cards, so they're really digging. I think they're in a difficult position here. So let's lay some eggs. See what we get here. House Finch is amazing. That's going to go right into our grasslands, I think. So I think the cards I'm drawing, as cool as going Chiff Chaff here would be, it's getting late. We're approaching the midpoint of the game. And I think I'm just better off going with grasslands here. So let's get a wheat. House Sparrow flips up. Not that great. So my opponent seems to be stalling out a little bit here. They don't have strong food gain. They got really good card draw. They don't have good egg production. They might be trying to hold on to food for the round goal, which is fine with me, because my cards are just so important to play that I'm just going to concede this round goal here. I don't like this round goal anyway. It forces you to play inefficiently, and I just have such powerful cards here. So they drew more cards, which I'm not sure I care too much about. So let's draw more cards. We'll hold off on putting an egg on a crow for now. Indigo bunting could be my second food bird, which would be pretty great. And I will pick up the second food for it here. So let's pick up the worm. I think I'm going to go for the bunting here. Red-bellied woodpecker flips up. Don't care about that. We're on the board for the third round goal with our Benelli, so that's nice. My opponent does not have a white power bird yet, so they're going to be looking to do that. So I'm in the unique position of the rich just keep getting richer. I'm really having some good luck here with my draws, which, like I said, is pretty nice because I usually don't have this type of luck. And my opponent has played Black-Chain Hummingbird, so they're going to be handing out some cherries to help us out as well. So that works out really great for our upcoming House Finch. So could I wait for them to play the bunting? I think I'm not going to wait. I'm going to just continue. I think we'll put an egg on the crow now at this point. We'll continue with our engine just to see some more cards. I think I'll deny the Prothonotary Warbler. We could play it too. It's good for the remaining round goals. And let's take the cherry we need for the bunting. Little bit of a slow game, but we have really great cards, and we're crescendoing into a pretty great grasslands here. We're going to do well on Woologist. So my opponent does hand out the cherry. That's going to be great for our house finch later. Holding on to their food. Let's throw down the bunting. So things are really going our way here. Really good board, really good card draw. But the game is not over yet. We don't want to overestimate our position. I've definitely had those games before where it looked like I just had the superior board position, but my opponent has been able to edge me out on certain non-standard things. Bonus cards are really good for doing that as well. And anything can happen with my opponent having this many cards like this. And they've got the food to play them, so we'll see what they come up with. We've drawn some incredible cards ourselves, so it's kind of a shame that I wasn't able to get this black-headed gull Chiff-Chaff up and running. But I think this grasslands is just going to be better. I guess we'll never know. Maybe someone can calculate out how many cards I could have tucked by the point that I had Chiff-Chaff and the black-headed gull, but the good meta choice, I think, is the grasslands. If you see these cards early, Chiff-Chaff, black-headed gull, and other, common grackle, if you see them all together early enough, it really, incentivizes you to go hard wetlands Chiff-Chaff. But the way things were panning out for us, it's kind of slow, kind of on the slow side. I think with the white stork and the bunting and the crow, I think that incentivizes the tried and true method of egg spam. We do have to work on building our nest space out. The house finch will help with that. And my opponent is definitely thinking about their turn here. They're probably trying to figure out how many birds they can play. They've only got the one activation. Maybe they got a double play on deck. They're looking at how many points they would gain by doing a bird play and maintaining their food. I've only got one food, so I will pick up the 2 points for the round roll. And they're probably... Did they just gain food there? I think I saw a die go. So they got a tuck on their owl there. That's fine. So they're going first. European goldfinch. I'm not showing any tucking birds yet. But I wonder if they take it just because I could have one or could see one. They did leave the goldfinch. So they're playing the cowbird for eggs. Good play by them. I have one cherry. I need food anyway. So I am just going to deny these cards here. Let's take the cherry. And we will wipe these cards. Let's see. Roseate Spoonbill and Snowy Owl. Both white power birds. My opponent needs one. So whichever one I leave, they're going to grab. So what's worth more points? The Spoonbill is. And I have the food capability to play it. So let's take the Spoonbill. And we need a wheat for our house finch. And Mute Swan flips up. Kind of at the start of round 3 here. I wonder if my opponent grabs that and plays it. Then just continues to draw a bunch of cards. That would be... They left it. So there's the Phoebe. So they're going to hand out even more food. In the face of that... I think it's smart to deny the mute swan here because I can get the grackle down, especially if they hand out a bunch of food on their next activation. I can go House Finch, grackle, and just convert the extra cards into points. Or I could just lay eggs and wipe the tray. That would be better than just drawing cards, I think, here, because I would gain more food. I would deny the swan from my opponent, and I would actually score points as well. So that's the smarter play, I think. Do I want to spend... I think I'm already pressuring my egg capacity, so I don't need the extra egg. So there is no food available for the bunting, which isn't really that big of a deal. Let's take that robin. Are they going to want the pileated woodpecker? Maybe, but we can't let them have the robin here. So what food do we need? We need another wheat for our grackle. So let us take that. Then we can just go House Finch, grackle, lay some more eggs, see some more cards, score some more points. The grackle is a bigger body than the robin. And how are we looking on the 4th round goal? We're at 5. So my opponent is going to be handing out a ton of food, and they're probably going to be dropping a lot of bombs in the late game here. It didn't hand out the cherry on the hummingbird, so they might actually be handing out the food for their swift as well. They can always make use of that, should they not see any cards they want to play. So let's go grackle. Keep our worm. And then we'll throw down the House Finch. And then we have some tucking fodder. Keep our eyes on Oologist. Pick up the food for the spoonbill. We might choose to gamble on the bonus card over playing the guaranteed 8 from the warbler. So there we see a bonus card bird from our opponent. There's their white powered bird. So let's throw down our House Finch. And then we'll just start laying eggs, and we'll pull together the food for our spoonbill. And after that, the warbler, unless we see some other amazing card we want to play. So now we've got our grasslands full. Eastern Imperial is off the table for us. We're going to want to deny that from our opponent if they don't already have it in their hand. So they've laid eggs. They've handed out a worm here. That's another thing, too, to keep in mind. We're handing them eggs. They have plenty of cup nest space, so that's just kind of something we just got to deal with. Nothing we can really do about it. We just have a really strong engine anyway, so we're kind of overpowering that. So let's spread out our eggs for Oologist. Let's tuck the robin. Maybe we'll hold on to that. Let's tuck the gull. Savannah Sparrow, neither one of us can make good use of it at this point. Let's draw here, Peregrine. Let's tuck. We can tuck the Chiff Chaff at this point. No food in the bird feeder with the bunting. That's kind of a drag. We would like to pick up a worm here, I think. Wipe the tray. What do we got? Let's take the Cassin's Finch. I wonder if they grab this gray-legged goose for round 4. We have 2 worms. We need a wheat. So let's spin this egg. Let let me think here. We've got 6 activations left in the game. 4 times 6 is 24. That would be 34 eggs. Our crackle will fill up. So we've got plenty of leeway here to spend some extra eggs. So let's take a wheat. Raven pops up in the tray. I wonder if my opponent doesn't grab that. I mean, it's pretty late in the game. And they have plenty of food, so I don't know that the Raven is really helping them that much. I've seen round 3 Ravens put in a lot of work before, but this is the tail end of round 3. And I don't think round 4 is really going to do much since they've already got... But then again, they do have the Swift there. The Raven could help them build the food for the Swift. So that might be an option. So they play their second white power bird here. So they're in position to win the round goal. I could force down the Cassin's Finch. Maybe I should have thought about that when I picked the food from the Fish Crow. But I could play the Prothonotary Warbler here to tie the round goal. It's a 7-point play. So I think I'm going to do that. And we'll spend an egg off the Grackle. So we got a tie there. Good play. What's in the tray? The other Raven. Interesting. So let's see here. Let's just lay some eggs. Spread them around for Oologist. Let us tuck the Peregrine. Actually, I think the Robin can go at this point. Let's deny the Raven to break up the combo with their Swift. Tuck the Raven. Bunting misses out again. Let us take the Woodcock. That would leave them the Cowbird, but I think the Woodcock is going to be better for them. And we want a worm. Let's actually take... Let's see here. How many turns left do we have in the game? 5? So 4 times 5 is 20. So we still have leeway to spend eggs. Let's take the wheat here. If my opponent flips the bird feeder for any reason, our bunting might do better. So the bunting isn't really doing a whole lot for us, but they are handing out that worm with the Phoebe. So that puts us in a good position for our late game bombs. This is a 4, 5, 6, 7, 7-point engine. So there we finally see the Clark's Grebe, so that's probably Fishery Manager or Wetland Scientist. It does work toward the round goal. We're currently ahead. We can keep pulling ahead. And my opponent seems to be avoiding the bird feeder. I don't know if they're actively trying to deny my bunting food, but it's not really hurting me that much. I think it might be hurting them more than it's hurting me, especially when their only option is to hand out food as their only food source. I found that on many occasions when you're behind the 8 ball and your only option forward is to hand out resources, it's just a losing prospect, because you're in a bad position and you're helping your opponent on top of it. So I think we're just going to continue to lay eggs here. Let's do this just in case we somehow see breeding manager. We've got our eggs spread around. We've got our 9 bodies. Let us tuck the falcon. Let us tuck the nighthawk. Bunting misses again. Let's see. They could drop the warbler fairly easily with their eastern phoebe on deck. So let's deny that. And we need worms. We could grab a cherry for the finch, but it is low power, doesn't work with the round goal. Do I want to take... Let's take the worm here. Common nightingale. Not gonna have an impact. 3 activations left. 4 times 3 is 12. We would have 28 egg spaces, not accounting for the grackle, so we still got leeway to spend food off the crow. That would give us the food we need for the woodcock. And that's equivalent to the spoonbill plus a 3-point bonus card. So the cowbird is really putting in work for my opponent. It just gives them the leeway to continue to play birds instead of taking the lay egg action. But if they need food, they're dipping into their grasslands for the phoebe worms. They're not stockpiling worms for the swift. It's got 0 tucks on it so far. Looks like we're really in the superior position here, but might actually be kind of close. Sitting on 86 points. We're going to break 90. We're going to be pushing 100. So my opponent did lay eggs, and they did hand out a worm, which is pretty great. Helps us with all our worm-eating birds here. So let's lay some more eggs. Got 3 activations left. So the question is really going to be, do I want to play the woodcock or the spoonbill? What bonus cards could I really benefit from here? I've already got Eulogist. Omnivore could be pretty good. That would be a 6-point pull. Viticulturalist. Probably not going to play the Cassin's Finch. Multi-habitat birds. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Would max that out. Diet specialist. I think we would max that out as well. 1, 2, 3, 4. The woodcock would max that out. So I think, let's see. Let's lay this. Let's lay this, this, and this. Let's back that up. Go 4 eggs here. 4 eggs here. Just in case we see breeding manager. Tuck the Cassin's Finch. I don't think they're going to go for trumpeter spawn here. They just don't have the turns to get the food. California Condor. I think I'm actually just going to tuck this bird. Bunting misses again. Let's deny the Ferruginous Hawk, or Ferruginous Hawk, just because it qualifies for the round goal. Don't think they're going to have the leeway to play it. And what do we want? We want another worm. Let's take the wheat. just in case we get the worm from my opponent. Grosbeak pops up, nothing great. Yeah, this cowbird is really putting in work for my opponent. But I still think we have the superior position here. Got a 4, 5, 6, 7 point engine, so it's really amounting to a 6-point engine because of my opponent's cowbird. 5-point engine because of my fish crow. But the food, so there we see double food for my opponent. That helps. So they're probably gearing up to play a bird that qualifies for the round goal here, and it could be a double play as well. Double or triple play, that would burn off a ton of eggs. They've got 3 bonus cards. So I could go, this burns 2 worms and a wheat. That would leave me with a worm, wheat, and a cherry. If they hand me 1 more food, I can force down the spoonbill. So let's play the woodcock. Burn this egg. Let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. There's 2. How many activations left? Around 2. So I'm going to leave the egg on my grackle. This is an 8-point play, so it's better than running my grasslands. Let's spend this egg, just in case we get down the spoonbill and see breeding manager, as previously mentioned. So we're at 100 points right now, pulling way ahead on this round goal. Don't know, even with good bonus cards, I don't know that my opponent, they would have to get incredibly lucky on more bonus card birds. Just feels like I'm in the better position, but maybe they've got breeding manager here, because they've got all their eggs. They overlaid on the king rail, though. Those 2 eggs could have been on the Phoebe for breeding manager. So these worms could just be going to the swift here. That's kind of dangerous, though, handing me these worms at the end of the game, because I can just drop bombs like the woodcock and the spoonbill. So if they hand me 1 more food, I can drop this spoonbill. And not only am I gaining the bird points, but then I'm denying them that egg off their cowbird as well. So my opponent is taking some time to think about stuff here. They might have some difficult decisions to make. They're trying to max out maybe their bonus cards. Don't really have some obvious plays there. So there we see the flycatcher. So that's a good bomb for them. Restored the round goal. Could be Prairie Manager. Maxed out Prairie Manager. It's kind of always scary when you see that type of stuff in the closing turns of the game. So they have 1 activation left, and they have the luxury going second here. So we don't get to play our spoonbill. And really our indigo bunting getting blocked off for half the game has really resulted in kind of a drag moment here. Would be nice to play this spoonbill. I can just spend the food on the egg now, though. And my opponent is sitting on 0 food with 1 activation left. So they're going to lay eggs, and they're probably going to hand out this worm for their swift. So I could play the warbler. That's a 6-point play. Or I could go 5, 6, 7, 8. So it's better to run my grasslands here. So let us spend the cherry. Tuck the hawk. Scoop this up. Tuck coal tit. See what the Stork has to say. Grab the goshawk. And we'll skip the crow. Still pops up for my opponent. They've got their one activation left. They're probably going to gain 2 worms here off the flycatcher and the Phoebe because I'm out of turns. And they can then tuck those 2 worms on the Swift. So we will win the round goal. 7 extra points. That would be 115. Did my opponent beat that? I don't think they did, even with good bonus cards. But I guess we will see. I've been surprised before. Alright, if you like that game, please hit the like button. I'd really appreciate it. So, I think we did better on bird points here. They probably did way better on bonus card points because they had 3 and we had 1. Well, they didn't do incredibly well. Tied on wrong goals. I should have more eggs, fairly even on eggs. And tucked cards, I should pull ahead, 115 to 97. Good score from my opponent. Let's take a moment here. I hope you stick around for this. Let's take a look at my opponent's bonus cards. And we'll flip to their board view. So they did have the Fishery Manager, max that out, pretty great. 2 points from Food Web. And they also had Wetland Scientist. So they got 3 points from that as well. Alright. Really solid game, fun game. White Stork wins again. And thanks everyone for watching.